Hey guys, Upsy here, and today I'm going to be doing something a bit different from my reviews and information pieces. It's going to be another opinion type piece, and it's going to be based on the exotic armor and how I think they should be changed. Now, I'm judging the armor based on if it is subclass specific or if it is subclass neutral, if it's situational or conditional, or both, or if it's useful at all times. And based on that criteria, I'm going to be judging if they are overpowered, balanced, or need some buffing, or the young Amkara spine. Now, I believe that all exotics, regardless of the criteria I'm setting for them, should be a viable option. That is, the player must make a conscious choice which will affect the way that they play the game. A simple buff to grenades or something like a duration buff to another one of their abilities may not be enough to tip it over the edge as a viable option. There are several exotics that go unused in place of a few other exotics that are just on the top tier of what should be used, and I believe we should be seeing a variety of loadouts with just as various playstyles. So I'm going to begin today with the Hunter armor, looking at every piece of it and my thoughts on it, and then what we can do to buff them, and I'm going to be doing the other classes later. The Knucklehead Symbiote. Personally, it is my favorite exotic. It adds an extra shot to Golden Gun, and it's pretty much perfect the way it is. It is conditional, specific to Gunslinger, therefore its buff needs to be that good, and I think an extra shot is pretty good. 30% more Gunslinger, that's cool. So, yeah, needs to be perfect how it is. The only problem here is that it's one of those pieces of equipment that are used over other ones, so the other ones need to be brought up to its level so that it's not the only option for gunslingers. The Crest of Alpha Lupe. Now, this one is neutral and is useful for all classes, but it's also conditional and situational. It's fairly useful in lower level content, but in things like the hard mode raid or even the normal raid where there's a 30-second cooldown before you can revive, that revival buff is not that useful, and the extra motes of light require a super. As well, this leaves it out of PvP. It's specifically a PvE piece of equipment that is kind of lackluster and is easily replaceable by other equipment. So we need to make it an option for both PvE and PvP. I propose this. How about making it revive allies instantly? And upon ability kills, provide allies with super energy directly. They don't need to go pick up motes, it just gives them it. It'd be a small, little minute buff, but if your entire team were wearing this, your guys' supers would be up all the time and you'd be just playing off of each other, and I think that would be just a team-based tactical option which also supports the entire team. So you don't necessarily need your entire team to do it, but put it on something like a defender who doesn't necessarily need their super for offensive ability, but to support the rest of their team. Knucklehead Radar. It's neutral, so both classes can use it at no additional cost, and it's conditional. It's a pretty helmet, aesthetically, but it runs into the same problem that a lot of other hunter perks fall into. It allows players to keep their radar when aiming their primary weapons, but primary weapons already have this perk, like other hunter perks. And why only primaries? This is just, it could be so much cooler. Add the radar to all weaponry at all times, or add an enhanced radar system. Maybe something more akin to how Halo works with the dots. But I've been getting a lot of feedback on that idea, and people are saying it'd be too OP, people would be waiting around corners, cooking their fusion rifle, and just wrapping around as soon as the dot gets close. It definitely needs a buff of some kind, something like enhanced radar, or something to increase their awareness of the battlefield. Something that will make people want to use it over the Knucklehead Symbiote or the Mask of the Third Man. The Lucky Raspberry is an exotic chess piece which is geared towards the Blade Dancer, and it is both situational and conditional. It requires that the player use the arc bolt grenade, and it also requires that there are multiple targets for the grenade to be chained. This is too weak for something so situational and conditional. Why not buff all Blade Dancer grenades in general? New effects like a blinding effect or a flare effect upon detonation, just something different. Or if we're hell-bent on buffing the arc bolt grenade, why not just add a second arc bolt grenade? I know that would be kind of silly considering that the arc bolt grenade can take out most of your health, and tossing in another one with the tracking ability would just immediately murder a target, but it'd be a viable option. People would want to use it Now, the radar grenade is already arguably the best grenade in the game, but this would make it more of a viable option. It would make people want to use it over the Mask of the Third Man or other exotics. Mask of the Third Man. Now, this is Blade Dancer specific, and it's conditional. It requires that you be using the super and also attacks with the super ability. So, Arc Blade attacks use less super energy. This makes it last longer, but it already lasts about 9 years. So I don't know what this buff is coming from. Is it from people who like to dash around, zigzag, or run across the entire length of the Hellmouth? Or what? I've gotten some flack with some ideas I've had with this piece of armor. I put it on the Bungie.net website, and people kind of hated me for it. I was proposing maybe some changes to the Blade Dancer itself, and lots of people want a change to Blade Dancer. The class itself is pretty balanced, but I was trying to just make it a bit more like the Gunslinger class, have it have 3 charges and such. I'll do a video on it later. But keep the mobility. And my proposal here was that just allow the Mask of the Third Man to give an additional charge to Arc Blade, which means it could do another kill or use another ability. But another proposal I would like to propose would be possibly a perk of the Blade Dancer, possibly just give them Vanish, or give them the Shadow Jack perk, which increases the duration of all invisibility effects. That would be cool. Or even give them an Escape Artist on their Blade Dancer kills, but that seems kind of a bit OP, you'll never see them ever. So stick with either a new perk or a redesigned Blade Dancer or something. Just make this a bit more interesting other than you use less super energy, because that doesn't really change up how the class works at all. The Young Umkara's Spine. It is Gunslinger specific, and it is both with a capital B, situational and conditional. I hate these things. They look awesome, but they lack everywhere else. That special weapon load is pretty cool though. But extra placement time on trip mine grenades? Why? This is such a weak and useless exotic, and it's so limited. Please, it needs to be changed. Like, people argue that the trip mine grenade is, oh, it's the best grenade, but it's just as good as a fusion, as a flux, or a magnetic grenade. Except it can kill the user at range. So it's just silly. The Umkara are dragons, and they're supposed to be just badass reality-eating monsters of we're smarter than you and better. So why aren't the exotics reflective of that? The Skull of Dire Umkara is a really good exotic for the Warlock, so why do the hunters get stuck with this shitty arm decoration? My proposal then is to make trip mine grenades detonate instantly and deal significantly more damage. And when I say significantly, I think it's 24 or 25% more damage, which would be an instant kill in PvP unless you have full armor, and enough damage to kill lots of the smaller mooks in PvE. This buff would make it just awesome, and I would actually use it. It was the first exotic I ever got, and I was super disappointed to see that its ability was just not viable at all. I immediately replaced it with something else. Alright, that's it for Hunter. I'm going to be doing Titan next. When the Dark Below DLC comes out, I'm going to be looking at the other exotics in there as well, and sorry guys, the Hunter exotics are not all that cool, except for the gauntlets. The gauntlets are fucking awesome. But I've been Epsy, and if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and if you have your own ideas, please leave your comments down below. Maybe I haven't thought of something and I can change my own ideas up, and hey, maybe it'll catch on. So let's hope for some exotic armor buffs in the future, and I will see you next time.